Hi everybody, Lori here for Simon Says Stamp. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've got a fun, clean, simple, colorful project, one of my favorite combinations, to share with you. I'm going to be using the Pretty Petals stamp set. Here she is in all her glory, and it's one of these beautiful floral stamp layering stamp sets. On the back of the packaging, it kind of gives you a guide how you can layer these up. If you want to start with the outline stamp and then fill it in, you can get a lot of variations on color, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm not going to use the outline. See how it's labeled A1, 2, 3, 4, and A5. I'm not going to use the outline. I'm just going to use those solid petals and create some beautiful, colorful, kind of modern blooms. And okay, so I'm starting with A2. The A1 is the outline of the bloom, so I'm going with A2. And one thing I do want to mention that I think is pretty important is I condition my stamp because these are solid stamps. I use the Altenew stamp conditioner. I just have a little mini one here, but I know Simon Says Stamp sells like the full, like the larger, and they got a pretty design on them. These are really, really helpful. You could also just use an adhesive eraser or any eraser. You can also use the palm of your hand. You just want to make sure that you get anything that's left over, any residue that might be on the stamp, and kind of rough it up a little bit and clean it well. You would be amazed at the difference of when you stamp. This is the first time stamping this solid image, and it's stamped like butter. And I really believe it's from the stamp conditioner, in my humble opinion. Okay, now I'm laying on, I guess this would be A3. You do not have to go in order. You really can't mess this up. Again, I'm going to condition my stamp. I do this for everyone. I'm not going to show it from here on out because you get the idea. I condition the stamp and then I clean it with a stamp chamois. My first image I inked up with blush, and now here I'm inking this up with blush as well, but when it kind of overlaps, you get that darker shade, which is what I love. So don't be afraid to use your same colors twice with stamp layering, because when they overlap, you get a beautiful darker shade. Now this would be A4, some petals, some thick chunky petals in between. I decided to bring in a new color, Peachy. So we're combining blush and Peachy for something dreamy. And now sometimes you can stamp things once, you can stamp them twice, you can stamp them 3 times, and every time you can build up that intensity, so it's really customizable. And here we have the last little petal, which I used cantaloupe ink. And by the way, if I didn't mention it, I'm using all Pawsitively saturated inks. They stamp like butter, and I love it, especially when you condition your stamps. I love the cheery colors with the Pawsitively saturated inks. I'm doing another bloom down in the bottom left corner. This time I'm doing Bubblegum. So I'm using the same exact stamps that I used for the bloom, the previous one. Same one. I'm not going in order because I forgot the order. It doesn't matter. Here I'm inking up with Peony. I'm just switching out the colors to give a slightly different feel, more of a pink fuchsia bloom, whereas in the top right it's kind of a more of a red coral orangey bloom. Just getting 2 different variations so you can get a lot of different looks just by customizing the colors. If I had more room, I would definitely make a yellowy orangey bloom. I'm going to do some leaves after I stamp all this to bring in a little bit of greenery. For this next ink, I'm doing Peony again, which I've already used Peony, but I stamped it a couple times, so it's nice and intense. This one here, I'm only going to stamp once, so it looks lighter. And now here I decided to bring in a little orange. Since everything's pink, why not bring in a little orange? So I use that grapefruit because I had it handy. And then I'm going to stamp that little petal image right in the center. I'm going to stamp it a couple more times because it felt like it was just a little bit too subtle for me. And now I like how this looks, but I felt like the top right bloom was missing something. So I laid back in that image. I kind of lined it back up, and I'm going to stamp it with Peony ink. I don't know why. I just felt like I needed to do that. It just felt a little off balance. And then when I added that Peony, it somehow felt like it balanced more compositionally wise. Call me crazy. I don't know why I do what I do half the time. It's just an evolution. And when it feels right in the gut, when my stomach feels right about the color. That's about how scientific it is. Adding a few leaves. There's some individual leaves in the Pretty Petals stamp set, and so you can just kind of customize where you want those to go. I'm using celery ink for the larger leaves, and then I'll do a smaller leaf out of Limalicious. So one shade darker, and I'm just going to kind of overlap these leaves just for fun. I'm really stamping willy-nilly. I just felt like stamping today. Sometimes, a lot of the times, I do die cutting and ink blending. But every once in a while, you just want to do a real stamp-heavy card. In fact, this card uses no dies today. So it's economical, right? Pull out those stamps and use them. And I'm going to do for a sentiment, the CZ Happy Combos. I love everything that Kathy Zilski designs, but her fonts just tickle my fancy. And now here's the CZ Happy Combos stamp set. All these sub-sentiments that you can combine with the word happy for a variety of occasions, graduation, birthday, anniversary, you name it. But I'm just doing kind of an all-purpose, sending all the happy. I stamped those with VersaFine ONYX black ink, using some foam tape, popping this little panel that I trimmed down quite a bit smaller onto a buttermilk card base. And for embellishment, I'm using some of these new Star Shine. They are my new favorite, the Star Shine Embellishment Mix by Simon Says Stamp. And I'm gluing those on. I love the 3 different sizes. It kind of frames your sentiment. Very clean, simple, lots of white space, but bright, poppin' color. Sending you all the happy today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.